and welcome to Valley News Now. I'm Gabriel Osler. We have been bringing you exclusive coverage of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago all week. Fantastic team coverage from Bobby Fallett and from Ethan Kramer. And we actually have Ethan with us right now, live on the scene. Ethan, let's talk about atmosphere out there, because we had a really star-studded lineup last night. Hillary Clinton was out there, all the Bidens were making an appearance, and you told me that there's a lot of excitement tonight due to the fact that former President Obama is set to speak, and we also have First Gentleman Doug Emhoff. So just give me a lay of the land and what you're picking up on the field.
Yeah, no, hey, Gabe. No, it's a electric atmosphere here as we move into day two. I think, as I was telling Adam earlier today, I think, with Kamala Harris speaking last night, just briefly only for a couple minutes, that, it really energized the crowd. That's usually a thing you don't hear from the presumptive presidential nominee until day four. So day one, just going out there and speaking really energized the crowd. And now, especially as we move into day two with First Gentleman Doug Emhoff speaking, and the Obamas speaking as well. There's a lot of energy. People are excited. Obama has some roots here in Chicago, so there's a lot of people that are very, very excited to hear the former president. So energy, Gabe, is really good here in Chicago on day two.
So that's inside the convention, I would say, and a lot of the topics that are being hit are being well received, some of the pro-choice topics and things of that nature. But one thing that has continually divided the Democrats is the ongoing situation in Gaza. The speakers themselves have kind of downplayed the issue. They haven't hit it too hard, but we know that there is a strong protester contingent outside the convention. So tell me a little bit about what that has been like, and has it been vociferous as people expected it to be?
Yeah, no, Gabe, great question. No, the protesting, so Chicago made an adjustment here on day two, on Tuesday here and Wednesday. There are no permitted protests in the city of Chicago outside. So basically kind of saying if you kind of go out, you can peacefully protest by example, but if you basically in a demonstrative way start threatening police, et cetera, along those lines, trying to push through barricades, you will be arrested. But I believe Thursday there will be, what we're hearing is there will be permitted protests on Thursday. But no, yesterday there at one point a very hostile environment outside of the convention as protesters did breach one of the fences. And so it was they were able to calm it down, but protesters have really calmed it down today. But we really won't it doesn't sound like we haven't heard any issues here on day two. Obviously it's that subject to change as we move into the evening, but the protests have been active, and as you stated, lawmakers have kind of really haven't touched upon it. And even when I was talking to a couple of lawmakers this morning, they kind of avoided the question, I guess you'd say, in a sense. They kind of just went on to talk about something else, didn't really want to answer that question about the way Harris and Biden to some have handled that situation. So there are a lot of questions to be answered with that, but as we move later into the convention, especially Thursday, and probably Wednesday, Walz, and you can probably assume Walz and Harris will address that situation.
And speaking of Walz, we know that he's on tap for tomorrow. Minnesota contingent of our viewer base is definitely going to be looking forward to that, seeing how he handles this grand of a stage. So I don't know what sort of insights you might have, but what do you think are going to be his main points that he's looking to hit, and what sort of impression is he trying to give when he gets this pretty prominent position to let everybody know who he is and what he's going to bring to the table as the vice president?
No, that's a great question, Gabe. Yeah, no, they're speaking with, North Dakota Democrats, because I haven't been able to speak with Minnesota's Democrats, but there's a lot of excitement about Walz. They're really excited about what he brings to the table. They think, he's going to kind of bring that message of unity to the country. They really they're big fans of Walz, especially him being from a neighboring state. And speaking with them, there's they kind of, when I asked them this morning, which we'll have more at 6 p.m. tonight, but they kind of talked a little bit on the attack. When you're talking about Walz, they talk about how great he is, et cetera, along those lines, Gabe. But then they kind of go into Vance. I mean, that debate's coming up on October 1st between those two, but they kind of went on the attack of Vance and what the two bring to the table. And, they really did question Trump's VP choice there, but a lot back to Walz. There's just a lot of excitement with them. They just think he'll bring a lot of strong thinking and will from the Midwest, and they think that was a great choice to be Harris's running mate.
And that's kind of a natural comparison to be made because those running mates were chosen so closely to each other. And they kind of, they're both middle-aged white men. They have similar presentations, but obviously on very, very different sides of the aisle. So that's kind of a natural comparison to make. I was going to ask about that and the people that you spoke to, especially from the North Dakota Democratic side this morning. But we know that that's coming up later in our broadcast, especially at 6 o'clock. So without giving too much away, because we want people to tune in and see all the fantastic reporting you've been doing. But in the interim, give us a little preview. Talk about the other things that you might have hit and what the viewers can expect when we give even more in-depth coverage later on in the programming schedule.
Yeah, no, touching it back on Vance and Walz, they really are excited. About a debate with those two. They did kind of touch upon Libby Schneider touched upon. She's the Dem national for the national committee, and she told me, that she's gonna when those two debate, she's taking the coach, is what she said. Referring back to his days as a teacher and a coach, and they think Vance is like that Silicon Valley. He's lived more in the Silicon Valley than he really is from Ohio and a swing state. So they're making their jabs at Vance. We'll have that full coverage tonight, but they're not the biggest fans, obviously, of Vance, especially at this convention. But they just, as I said, Walz, they can't praise him enough. They are really excited about him. Mary Schneider, a North Dakota House representative, brought up to me how he came to Moorhead just a few months ago and briefly spoke to the council there. And she just said it was so powerful that he brings a lot to the table. He's an exciting guy. He's got a good heart, is what she says. So they're just big fans of Walz, and they think he's going to, if they are to win, he'll do a tremendous job.
All right. And that was most of the points that we discussed and that are kind of the main takeaways at this moment. Before I let you go and get you back to your intrepid reporting with Valley News Team's Bobby Fallett, is there anything else that you'd like to throw out there?
No, I think one other thing Gabe, I'd like to add is as I said, there's a lot of energy here on day two, a lot of expectations from people as we kind of move here into evening of day two. But one thing I didn't touch upon is they're counting the delegates tonight. That's important. In North Dakota is going to give all 17 to the Harris and Walz tickets. So that's another important thing to add tonight, as that'll take a little while, but I think we talked to Andy Goodwin this morning, who is the chair of the DNC MPL. He told me that he's just really excited. He's nervous to announce those 17, but he said there was no hesitation the moment Biden dropped out of running for re-election, and that they immediately met, and it was automatic that they were going to give all 17 to Harris following his departure. So yeah, a lot of excitement here from North Dakota delegates, but just a lot of excitement from Democrats here as we move into day two.
All right, Ethan, appreciate it. Really looking forward to those reports later in the evening and all the great sound that you were able to get with the North Dakota Democrats. Appreciate you taking the time to stop by Valley News Now and have this discussion. You go ahead and get back to all that great coverage that we've been experiencing so far.
Yeah.
All right, well, that will do it for us here on Valley News Now. Like we said, there's going to be much more coverage coming up in the later broadcast, especially the 6 o'clock is going to have the most extended interviews and insights, really, really based off all the stuff that we just talked about. So you're going to want to stay around, check that out, and stay with us all through the rest of the evening and the rest of the week for the best political coverage. Thank you so much.